Good morning, hope this letter. Welcome to the first episode of Places, Facts and History. My name is Natalia, the North Pole is opposite of the South Pole, and today we talk about Grimsey. I'm sorry, but we have to start with some quick administrative stuff. My sources are in the description, because I'm a very fancy, serious educational scientist. And please, don't sue me for any wrong information. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, thank you. So let's start with Grimsey. You don't know Grimsey? Whack. Grimsey is the northernmost inhabited island of Iceland. The island is 4.8 kilometers long, that's about 3 miles, and 1.9 kilometers wide, that's about 1.2 miles. With that, the island has a surface of 5.3 square kilometers, that's roughly about 2 square miles. The most elevated point is 105 meters, 344 feet, over the sea level. And the island is exactly on the polar cycle. But what is this important sounding word polar cycle? For this, we must get some knowledge about how day and night work and what that stuff has to do with our Iceland Earth axis. As you see, the Earth is not straight. That's because around 4.5 billion years ago, there was another planet in the solar system called Theia. The name is there because the mother of Selene in the Greek mythology was called so, and scientists have thought it sounds epic if we call this planet after some old god. It sounds epic. Anyways, do you know Theia? No, because this planet is gone today. Well, that's not exactly true. There are parts of it left on the Earth and on the Moon. So, 4.5 billion years ago, Theia crashed into our Earth, rotated our Earth axis, and parts of the planet either decided to stay with Earth and others formed the Moon. So life and the whole fancy stuff on Earth wouldn't be there without this disaster. Amazing. Rest in peace Theia, and thank you for making our Earth axis not exactly vertical. So what has this to do with day and night and that things? You may have noticed when living in the northern hemisphere that in winter the days are short and night is long, and in summer the days are longer and night is short. And maybe some very intellectual dudes of you may have figured out that winter is cold and summer is hot. Amazing, I know. And in the southern hemisphere it's exactly opposite. So why? It sounds complicated, but this all has to do with our not vertical Earth axis. Look at this Earth here. And yeah, here's the sun. We have light and that stuff. And now we can say it's winter in the northern hemisphere. Why? Because in this picture, the light falls more horizontally onto the northern part of Earth and more from the top onto the southern part of Earth. That makes two things. When the light falls more straight onto the Earth, the travel distance inside the atmosphere is much shorter, so the light don't lose much power, and as a result, that straight light from the top makes Earth warm. And the leaning light, as you see, needs more time to travel the atmosphere. Cold. That makes cold. Let's quickly skip forward 6 months. Now the Earth has traveled around the sun and leans into the other side. So now it's the opposite and northern hemisphere is kinda warm. That's the whole fancy stuff about winter and summer. So let's quickly get back to winter. You see this area and this area. So because I'm amazing, I can draw straight lines. Yeah, you don't have to thank me. I know I'm amazing. And because of this superpower we see. Oh no! There can't get any light onto this spot. Not at day, not at night. Horribly. And if you let the Earth turn, like the Earth does it on a daily basis. Haha. That's funny. Because the Earth turns on a daily basis and we see, oh yeah, we have light on this spot the whole day. Yay! So, let's now look at the spot slightly under this dark spot and let the Earth turn. We see, oh, the spot gets some light, but soon it's in the dark, and in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. So we see, days in winter are short because the northern part of Earth leans away from sun, and then it rotates, and then we are away from sun, and in summer it's the opposite. So back to polar cycle. You may have figured out what this circle is right now. Yeah, it's under this dark spot and over this bright spot, but wait, there's something. The Earth travels around the sun. And then this spot changes. Oh no! The polar cycle is this spot on some specific days. But what specific days? What sense does it make when we take random days for that? Wait, they are not random. We looked at them all the time. Yeah, so look at the year. This is our spot we looked. 21st of December. There it was dark in the north. And this is the opposite. 21st of July. Dark in the south. Shortest and longest day. So polar cycle is just that spot where there doesn't get any more light on 21st of December, winter solstice, and where it never gets dark on 21st of July, summer solstice. And yeah, this is exactly the opposite for the south. Everything is always exactly the opposite for the south. So we just learned something today. We learned what the polar cycle is, and that Grimsey is exactly on this circle. That means two things. Grimsey is on the northernmost spot where you don't have a night being days long. But on 21st of December, it's kinda dark. And second, I kinda lied. Our Earth axis thinks is funny and decides to change. That's because of many complicated stuff of the whole solar system. If you're interested, look it up. It's fascinating and complicating. All we have to know is that the polar cycle slightly drifts around. Numbers and stuff are computer useless here, because without understanding this whole axis drifting stuff, you wouldn't understand. I don't understand either. Here's the link. So I opened Google Earth. I turned on these fancy lines, and here, polar cycle. Yeah! Let's make a quick tour. Norway, boring, some national parks. Sweden, just a camping place. Finland, some island village. Russia, eternity, nothing. Like, nothing. Oh, a river, amazing. Oh, another river. As far Russia seems to have lots of rivers. Oh, first city on the polar cycle. Seal chart. Founded 1595. 1080 square kilometers. 400 square miles. 42,544 people. Time zone UTC +5. Phone code +7 34922. Postal code 62900X. License plate at 9. You don't care. And look, it has a website. The city of Sarhart until 1945. Obdorsk is the capital of the largest gas production region in the world. The Icelandic autonomous Okrug, the only city in the world that lies on the latitude of the Arctic Circle. Quick note here, Arctic is north, Antarctic is south. So Arctic cycle is the northern polar cycle and Antarctic cycle is the southern polar cycle. The city is equipped with modern means of communication and telecommunications. Sarhart has recently turned into a major construction site. Housing shortages were one of the city's acute social problems. Therefore, the priority direction was the construction of residential buildings and social facilities. Oh look! Aksarka, another village. The cities all have websites. Amazing. Lakes, river, mountains, nothing, just Russia stuff. Oh, ocean, we left Russia, finally. Oh, we're in Alaska now. Yay, a city Fort Yukon, founded 1847, 428 people and yay. Yeah, we found a street, amazing. Canada, whack. Nothing at all. I'm disappointed. Greenland, amazing, we have a city, or at least some houses. Italy, 89 people living there. Founded 1847, 66 degrees, 45 minutes, 38 seconds north. 53 degrees, 29 minutes, 47 seconds west. Village has some Viking history and they somehow poisoned their only seawater with drinking water because they put their dead bodies next to it. And they have a football club, ET87 Italy. I was happy to find a picture of the city. There is no accurate football picture, I'm sorry. Eyes, and we are back at Grimsey. You want to visit Grimsey? You are lucky. You don't have to swim or buy a boat. You can go to https and book yourself a plane. You just have to get to Actuly first. That's the only city I have found which offers flights to Grimsey. Actuly has 80,925 people, a website there. As cool as Russia, and I actually can visit the website. Amazing. You'll find some holiday shops in the city on their website, and your browser will probably have the same job as translating their website than mine has. Other than that, I'm disappointed that villages with under 100 people could provide some more interesting information than the fourth biggest city in Iceland. Anyways, we discussed how to get to the island. Other than planes flying 3 times a week and in the summer daily, you can also travel with a ship. Traveling with a ship takes 3 hours and the flight 20 minutes. As you might guess, you don't will fly with a basic Airbus or a Boeing jet to the island. Fancy island needs fancy planes. I don't have any idea why there was no one in this world making a website which planes flying to Grimsey. But as disappointed that was, I googled Grimsey airport and found some pictures, and then I used Google Lens and some friends to find out which planes this could be, and get ready. Havilland Canada DHC6. Yes, this plane is produced in Canada and so produced since 1965. Since then, upgrades with new versions. Most popular type is the DHC6-400. Needs 1 or 2 crew members. Space for 19 passengers. 60 meters, 52 feet long, and 20 meters, 65 feet wide. Speed 340 kilometers per hour, 211 miles per hour. Empty 3.4 tons. Not empty 5.6 tons. 2 Pratt and Whitney Canada PD6A34 engines, both 463 kilowatts with hot cell HCP3T and 3D Repsilon. Diameter 259 centimeters is 100 inches. But the mainly used DHC600 planes on Grimsey seem to be a DHC6-300, but I can't confirm this for sure because the only information as said is Google Lens and flight radar for guessing the plane type. BA 23, built in the USA from 1952 to 1966. 2,165 produced planes in total, 1 crew member needed, 3 to 4 passengers, 8.27 meters, 27 feet long, 11.28 meters, 37 feet wide, speed 278 kilometers per hour, 172 miles per hour, power 2 times 190 kilowatts, that's 238 kilowatts in total. If you have the feeling you know the plane, the Westring GTA looks kinda similar. Is it the same plane? No. The Cessna 185 since 1960 until 1985, blah blah blah, HTTP, blah blah blah, Wikipedia, blah 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 blah. It's used for military from many countries, including Jamaica. Seems like this country with a population of 2.9 million people has a military, and seems like the only planes this military could afford was a slow cruising plane for 4 passengers. Where were we? Oh yeah, Grimsey. I have to mention the polarcircel one more time because an artist, Christine E. Harfson, thought it's an amazing art project to put a passage sphere with a diameter of 3 meters 10 feet exactly onto the polarcircle on Grimsey. And it was an amazing art project because many visitors came to see it and people think it's cool, and yes, the polarcircle is moving. So they move the sphere every year. Until 2047, the polarcircle should have reached the southern end of Grimsey, and there it stays. Considering the other option, moving this ball the next 2,758 years. Yes, I calculated that. The 40-kilometer ocean gap underwater, this seems to be a great idea. But I think the opinions to this ball differ greatly. What else happens on Grimsey? Main work is fishing, sheep, birds and eggs. They have 2 guest houses / restaurants for tourists. The distance to Reykjavik is 325 kilometers. The distance to Moscow is 3088.06 kilometers. The average summer temperature is 8 degrees Celsius. The average winter temperature is -1 degrees Celsius. They have a school, they have a store for daily needs, they have a post office, they have a village community house, they have a library, they have an indoor pool, they have a church. The priest makes stuff 4 times a year. It's built of driftwood, burned down in 2021. They want to build bigger church now. Cats and dogs are not allowed on the island because it's better for looking for birds. I don't know. In the time of the Pleistocene, 2,580,000 years ago until 11,700 years ago, Grimsey had glaciers, and on the cliff you can see stuff proving that. But I think it seems kinda logical. I don't need a proof that the island at the polarcircle had ice in the Ice Age. Want to know more about the Pleistocene?
According to the definition of the International Commission on
No! You don't want to know! You want to know why the island is called Grimsey. There was a dude called Grim. That could be the whole story. But no, this is boring. We don't do boring stuff here. Grim means face mask, helmet, or person wearing a face mask. Grammatic stuff changes like crazy with one letter. You kinda can combine it with every letter common across the Scandinavian world. According to the legend, Grim was the first settler on Grimsey. He is even mentioned in the landname book. Yes, this literally means country name book in Icelandic. This is actually a fancy book. There are lots of versions, and like all old books, some of them are gone and they are kinda complicated, but in conclusion this book mentions the first settlers of Iceland. At least the first known settlers, or at least 400 of them, or at least 400 of the first known settlers arriving between 1874 and 1930. In this book you can find the coordinates where these people lived and where they built houses and that stuff, so I think privacy wasn't that much of a thing in that times. Anyways, the book is a source for many sagas, and like always with such old 1,000 times translated and not complete books, consider all the information carefully. However, I tried my best to find a complete version of it, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I was able to do that because there are so many versions existing and so many different half complete and not complete. You can buy it as an ebook, you can buy it as an old paper book, you can download a PDF, and yeah, I don't know what I have. At least I now have several PDFs, all are very different and all claiming they are the landmark book. Anyways, the landmark book seems to be the main source for Icelandic history, and Icelandic history is actually an interesting topic because Iceland was the very last European country to have population. So because it was so late, we actually have very good information about it. The first people were mostly refugees from Ireland and England, chilling there from about 700 795, and then 874 more and more people, mostly Norwegians, thought it would be a good idea to sail west. And the next 56 years, many people claimed land, and yeah, that basic stuff. 930 they developed the government, means they had about 39 dudes in every part of Iceland who had the command of farmers. These dudes were called Godar, mean chieftain prize. This Godar selected the highest official of the Iceland, the law speaker of the Althing. As you guessed, he was responsible for the law with the other dudes. And this boss was boss for 3 years and then next election. And Iceland was there like today. No army, no monarchy, no royal court. The only thing not being perfect, I mean difficult to say what's perfect, is that the goddess had judicial and legislative power. Legislative makes the law and judicial is like court. So this dude had kinda power. These leaders met sometimes and did leader stuff. The Landnummer book also mentions that soon the church took over a very big rule in Icelandic government. Soon after 950, Iceland thought we can do that better. And they divided Iceland into 4 quarters and such stuff. Fancy, I know. And this lasted until Iceland came under Norwegian rule about 1262 and 1264. Yeah, because in the time of 1220, the Norwegian king Håkon Håkonsson, also known as Håkon the Old, and Håkon the Fourth, living from 1270 to 1263, thought he needs land. There was lots of fancy stuff, people dealing with people, and then Iceland was suddenly Norway. But remember, as Norway are Vikings, Norway wants to have Iceland, Vikings go to Iceland, Iceland is Norway now. And Iceland stays with Norway until 1944. 1944. Has this something to do with World War II? No, it has not. So where were we? Grimsey, yeah, let's quickly get back to the Norwegian Vikings, because according to the Heimskringla, 1230, the Norwegian king wanted to have Grimsey as a gift from Iceland. I think, as we heard, whole Iceland was Norwegian 12 years later. This idea of a gift wasn't that important anymore, because the Norwegian king simply took whole Iceland, and then he had Grimsey. Yeah, so I just mentioned the Heimskringla. I didn't mention that before, so quick note. This is a Norwegian document. I know that this is a Norwegian document because I googled that, but you can look in the word and see the difference. Because Icelandic always has some fancy O and O, and the other Scandinavian countries like Norway typically don't have them. They just have O and O. Actually, Heimskringla is Old Norse for Circle of the World. I don't know what Circle of the World has to mean, but fancy. If you want to know something about the Heimskringla, I for sure will make a video in the future about some Norwegian stuff, or you can just google it or can do research for yourself. But now Grimsey, we are home again. It's believed that Grim, some sources call him Grimur, so I'm really confused, but I guess that's just because it's so old and with translation many variations of the name developed. Built his house between 1100 and 1200. He was a farmer, so I guess he probably built a farm. It's also believed Grim was the brother of Kolbein. After him the Kolbeins, he got his name. You don't know the Kolbeins, see, I'm really disappointed. Okay, let's take yourself a boat and drive about 70 kilometers north. Okay, probably do it with Google Maps, that's way easier. And then realize what should be there. Yeah, you got it. Not that much, way too less for Google Maps, because because it's a stone. The stone isn't bigger than about 20 times 40 meters, and it's guessed his gun until 2020. Yeah, I found the YouTube video from April 2021 where some dudes measured the stone, so I guess it's still there, but I have no clue actually. Yeah, the stone got its name because Kolbein is believed to crash with his ship there and then died. Yeah. The stone has no population, and yes, I lied, this is the northernmost part of Iceland, but not Grimsey. Grimsey isn't the northernmost part of Iceland, but I think we can discuss how well a stone represents a state, and if a stone in the water should be called the northernmost part of a state, or if the northernmost island with population should be called the northernmost part, but yeah, you got it. Actually, this stone was discovered back in 1660. He was way bigger there, about 700 meters north-south and 100 meters east-west, and he gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as you see the comparison of 1930, 1984 and 2021. So you're probably thinking about why this stone exists here in the middle of the ocean. So here's a picture of the tectonic plates. So here you get it. Iceland too just exists because of volcans under the water. Grim wanted to get buried in the temple of his brother, which is on the south of Iceland according to the names, but Icelandic names are really, yeah. Grimsey supposedly never had families like all of Iceland had sometimes. They just ate fish, yummy. 1988, all sheep died because of a plague. That's why there aren't sheep anymore. And until 2009, Grimsey was an independent part of Iceland. Now they are together with Actuly. That's the fourth biggest city of Iceland we already mentioned. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the Grimsey language.
Jæja, nú skulum við tala aðeins Grímseyjarmálið.
People there speak Icelandic, over.
Þar talar fólk íslensku yfir.
About 300,000 people speak Icelandic.
300.000 manns tala íslensku.
There was Old Icelandic, which was much more fancier, and the modern Icelandic has much in common with other Scandinavian languages. You remember Norwegian took Iceland in 1240? Yeah, that makes sense, they're kinda similar. Because Iceland is an island, the language developed much more independent than other languages, and it's known as a little bit complicated. And Iceland wants to stay special. So they're official dudes just finding words for things so they can't use English words for them. So like computer, they call dulv fancy. Estimate audience. Unfortunately, that's it for Grimsey. On the one hand, because I noticeably run out of information. On the other hand, I think the video is long enough now. If you can provide any additional information, please tell me. And if I made any mistakes, please use the comments. I wish you a wonderful week. Have a nice meal. Good night. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday. Bye bye.